great Sanders friend, Elizabeth Warren, weighed in on this last night in a CNN town hall. She got a question explicitly about superdelegates from one of the audience members. Let's take a listen.
During the Nevada debate, you and every other candidate on the stage, except for Bernie, hello somebody, indicated that the candidate with the plurality of delegates should not necessarily be the nominee. This essentially means the will of the voters could be denied by the superdelegates and the DNC, which is basically undemocratic. And in my opinion, is a bunch of baba booey, to put it politely. Can you explain why the will of the voters should not matter if no candidate reaches a majority of delegates?
So you do know that was Bernie's position in 2016?
Not necessarily, no.
Yeah.
He won 22 states, so he went to the convention for his
that was
voters.
Bernie's position in 2016, that it should not go to the person who had a plurality.
Okay.
So, and remember, his last play was to the superdelegates. So the way I see this is you write the rules before you know where everybody stands, and then you stick with those rules. So for me, Bernie had a big hand in writing these rules. I didn't write them. But Bernie did when they were putting together the 2016 platform for the Democratic Convention. Those are the rules that he wanted to write and others wanted to write. Everybody got in the race thinking that was the set of rules. I don't see how come you get to change it just because he now thinks there's an advantage to him for doing that.
Interesting. I mean, what is so disingenuous about that argument is, of course, the Sanders people on the DNC Unity Commission, Reform Commission, what they pushed for was to get rid of superdelegates entirely.
Right.
The compromise position that the DNC hacks forced upon them was keeping the superdelegates on the second ballot. So it's not like Bernie Sanders was like, yay, superdelegates on the second ballot, which she knows. It's incredibly disingenuous. But the other part of this that's very interesting doesn't quite jive with some of the things that Elizabeth Warren said in the past about superdelegates. Jordan Uhl, a journalist, found these clips of Warren talking about exactly this thing previously. Let's take a listen.
I'm a superdelegate. And I don't believe in superdelegates. I don't think that superdelegates ought to sway the election.
We're learning today that a new book that is coming out by Donna Brazile, the former acting chair of the Democratic National Committee, that the campaign of Secretary Hillary Clinton was far more influential at the Democratic Party, the Democratic National Committee, than we previously knew. Do you think, though, that what we're learning from Donna Brazile's book suggests that the campaign, that what the Democratic National Committee did, meant this election was rigged?
Yeah, I think it was.
It's a pretty powerful charge.
Well, what we have to focus on now as Democrats is we recognize the process was rigged, and now it is up to Democrats to build a new process, a process that really works and works for everyone, and that as we go forward, we have confidence in the integrity of the system, that Democrats, as they run a primary, are going to let the people speak, and that we're going to have a candidate who's the candidate chosen by the people. That's our job. In most democracies around the world, the person who gets the most votes wins. How about we make America that kind of democracy?
How about it, Saagar? Why don't we make America that kind of democracy? I mean, let's be clear about what they're proposing here. They're proposing that all these contests that we're covering, that y'all are voting in, volunteering in, organizing for, donating to, all those contests are going to be invalidated in a group of party elites to pick who they think the nominee should be.
The most stark one was that first clip where she's like, I don't believe in superdelegates. I'm a superdelegate. And the second one, I think it was rigged. Think of it. Even, what was that, Judy Wood? She was like, wow, you said it was rigged.
Yeah, that's a big statement.
It's huge. And she's out there like, oh, it's rigged. And now she's out there being like, oh, it's a process. Well, yeah, who makes the process, people? That's part of how how did we get to this era in which we're all screwed? Because the process made it so that people get, people can extract a lot of resources and get very rich from it, while everybody else is walking around with a lot of costs to their everyday life that keep going up. Is that a process? Yes, that is the process.
And let me just say, putting her hypocrisy and flip-flopping aside, I don't even think this is the right political calculus, because she may not even win her own home state. If she does, it'll be the only state that she wins. Do you really think you're going to end up as the unity consensus candidate when, look, a lot of the party doesn't love you either, let's remember, and a lot of Wall Street donors and healthcare executives, et cetera, involved in the DNC don't love you either. You may not win a single state. You really think you're going to be the unity candidate? No. Her best bet at this point would be to start trying to rebuild the bridge with Bernie Sanders, try to suck up to him, try to be nice to him so that maybe you'll be relevant in a Sanders administration. This ain't it.
See, I actually think the superdelegates will be comfortable with Warren because of all of those early, remember all the signaling that she had that she would still take big dollar fundraisers and all that stuff.
Yeah, but they're not going to pick her.
No,
they're talking about, the New York Times article, they're not talking about her. They're talking about Sherrod Brown, Michelle Obama, which is like complete fantasy
the real
land.
Dream.
I mean, they're basically not talking about anyone who's in the race right now. They're talking about a lot of people on the outside to bring in. So she's not going to be the unity candidate. And she's deluding herself if she thinks that she is.
Yeah, they're all betting on this, like anything can happen. That's why, and that's the thing is that look at Buttigieg and Bloomberg and Biden. I mean, Bloomberg is essentially operating as a Bernie super PAC because he's destroying Biden's candidacy all across the South. By the way, I said that would happen, but
we booked it. Yeah.
And then it's like that. It's just amazing because all of them, by trying to stay in the race, are actually helping the one person that they don't want to be the nominee, all betting on this contested convention in which, as you rightly say, what are the superdelegates even floating? Not them.
Well, because what matters in terms of actual delegate math? You have to get to that 15% threshold in order to win delegates. So if you have a lot of candidates who are splitting the vote, then you have more and more states where Bloomberg and Biden and all the rest don't even make it to 15%. I mean, that may well be the case in California, which is the biggest state in terms of delegates going on Super Tuesday, where Bernie is very dominant. He and Bloomberg are the only two with real organizations in the state at this point, spending real money, playing to win. Bloomberg hasn't really gotten any traction there. It's very possible that Bernie picks up a large majority of the delegates there because so many people fall under 15%.
Yeah, certainly.
That's why it matters. All right, we're going to tell you what's on our radars. That's next.